Welcome. Today, we're diving into something really cool, a poem that gives us a peek into the very heart of the upcoming Superman film. And what it suggests is that this whole story isn't just about a clash of titans, it's actually a war of ideals. Let's get right into it. So, we're going to start with the ending. Yeah, you heard me right. These are the last two lines of the poem, and honestly, they're the key to the entire thing. This one little phrase is the central thesis. Everything we're about to talk about just builds right up to this powerful idea. So what's this story really about at its core? Well, the poem lays it out pretty clearly. Sure, it's a classic good versus evil showdown, but the real battlefield isn't Metropolis, it's emotional. This isn't about who can punch harder. It's about which force is stronger, love or hate. Okay, so to really get why Superman wins, you first have to understand the villain. You got to get inside Lex Luthor's head. And the poem? Well, it tells us that everything he does, every single action, is fueled by one single, all-consuming emotion. And there you have it. It's not about power or control or world domination. Not really. The poem literally says that the love people had for Superman is what drove Lex Luthor mad. Just think about that for a second. All his genius, all his money, all his complex schemes, they're all just tools he's using to try and destroy the love people feel for his enemy.
And this is where it gets really interesting, how the poem just reframes this whole conflict. On one side, you have Luthor, right? He's got his business smarts, his billions, and powering all of it is this incredible burning hate. Then on the other side, you have Superman. He's got the powers, sure, and loyal friends, but his real strength? Enduring love. So the real fight here isn't money versus muscle, it's hate versus love, plain and simple.
And that's the central irony, isn't it? Luthor thinks his hatred is his greatest weapon. It's the engine driving everything. But the poem is crystal clear. It's actually his fatal flaw. The very thing he thinks is going to make him win is the one thing that guarantees he's going to lose.
So let's see how this all plays out. Because according to the poem, Superman isn't exactly going into this fight at full strength. Luthor, being the strategist he is, makes his move when our hero is completely and surprisingly alone.
First up, his most powerful ally, Supergirl, is totally off the board. The poem says she's nowhere near, grieving somewhere off-world. And get this, she's under a red sun. That's a huge detail. It means she's not just emotionally unavailable, she's physically powerless, totally cut off from her strength. Okay, so what about his other super friends? Where's the Justice League? Well, they're busy. The poem mentions they're playing their part somewhere else, which means they're dealing with their own world-ending problems. So, no, the cavalry is not coming.
So this leaves Superman with, well, Krypto, his dog. And look, a superdog is awesome, but the poem paints him more as the comic relief here. He's more interested in playing fetch at the Fortress of Solitude than in taking down a criminal mastermind. It really just hammers home how alone Clark is in this fight.
So the stage is set perfectly. You've got the isolated hero, all his allies are gone, and his enemy is running on pure, uncut hatred. This is the exact moment Luthor has been waiting for, and it leads us right into the climax. Luthor's downfall, as the poem tells it, happens in 4 acts. It starts with a classic move. He plans to use kryptonite. But then comes the mistake. His ambition gets the better of him, and his schemes just spiral out of control. Then things get really interesting. Superman's non-superpowered friends, his human allies, they step up to fight back. And it all ends with that fatal flaw. His hate just completely eats him alive, and his whole plan implodes. And the result? A total victory for Superman. Even though he was alone, even though his enemy threw literally everything at him, he still triumphs. He overcomes these impossible odds, and it proves that his strength is about so much more than just the physical.
So here's the big question. How did he actually win, right? If his allies were gone, and Luthor had this master plan, what was the secret weapon? The poem tells us it wasn't a punch, it wasn't heat vision, it was something way more human.
The poem points right at Lois Lane, and it doesn't just say she loves Superman, it says her superpower is love. That's the ultimate force that goes head-to-head with Luthor's hate. It's the final, critical piece of the puzzle that makes sure good wins.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought to chew on. In a world that's packed with aliens and robots and billionaires with endless resources, the poem is making the case that the most powerful force in the entire story isn't flight or money. It's love. It suggests that the most super thing about Superman might not be what he can do, but who he loves and who loves him back. Makes you think, what is power really?